नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th Canto, Chapter 20, Text 22. This chapter is entitled as Lord Vishnu's Appearance in the Sacrificial Arena. Text 22. Atha avamrijya ashru kalaha athavamrijya ashru kalaha bilokayan atripta drig gocharam aha purusham pada sprishantam kshitim angsa unnate binnasta hastagram uranga viddishaha. Athavamrijyashru kala bilokayan atripta drigocharam maho purusham padasprishantam shitimangsa unnate binnasta hastagram uranga vidvishaha. Athavamrijyashru kala bilokayan atripta drigocharamaho purusham padaprishantam kshitimangsa unnate binnasta hastagramuranga vidvishaha. Athavamijyashru kala bilokayan atripta drigocharamaho purusham padasprishantam kshitimangsa unnate binnasta hastagramuranga vidvishaha.
Athavamrijyashru kala bilokayan atripta drigocharamah purusham padasprishantam kshitimamsha unnate vinyasta hastagramuranga vidvishaha.
Athavamrijyashru kala bilokayan atripta drigocharamah
अथावमृज्य श्रुकला विलोकयन् अदृष्टदृग्गोचरमाह पुरुषम् अदास्पृशन्तं क्षितिमंशोन्नते विन्यस्तहस्ताग्रमुरङ्गविद्विषा
शुक्ला विलोकयन् अतृप्त दृग्गोचरमाह पुरुषम् पदास्पृशन्तं क्षितिमंशोन्नते विन्यस्तहस्ताग्रमुरङ्गविद्विषा
अथावमृज्य श्रुकला विलोकयन् अतृप्तदृग्गोचरमाह पुरुषम् पदास्पृशन्तं क्षितिमंस उन्नते विन्यस्तहस्ताग्रमुरङ्गविद्विषः
Mataji's. Atha, thereupon, abamrijya, wiping, ashru kalaha, the tears in his eyes, bilokayan, observing, atripta, not satisfied, driggocharam, visible to his naked eyes. Aha, he said, Purusham, unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Pada, with his lotus feet. Sprishantam, just touching. Kshitim, the ground. Amse, on the shoulder. Unnate, raised. Binnasta, rested. Hasta, of his hand. Agram, the front part. Uranga Vidvishaha, of Garuda, the enemy of snakes. Translation by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. The Supreme Personality of Godhead stood with his lotus feet almost touching the ground while he rested the front of his hand on the raised shoulder of Garuda, the enemy of snakes. Maharaj Prithu, wiping the tears from his eyes, tried to look upon the Lord, but it appeared that the king was not fully satisfied by looking at him. Thus the king offered the following prayers. Please repeat after me. The Supreme Personality of Godhead stood with his lotus feet almost touching the ground while he rested the front of his hand on the raised shoulder of Garuda, the enemy of the snakes. Maharaj Prithu, wiping the tears from his eyes, tried to look upon the Lord. But it appeared that the king was not fully satisfied by looking at him. Thus the king offered the following prayer. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The significant point in this verse is that the lords were standing above the ground, almost touching it. The residents of the upper planetary systems, beginning from Brahmaloka, the planet where Lord Brahma lives, down to Swargaloka, the heavenly planet of Indra, are so advanced in spiritual life that when they come to visit this or similar other lower planetary systems, they keep their weightlessness. This means that they can stand without touching the ground. Lord Vishnu is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But because he lives in one of the planetary systems within this universe, he sometimes plays as if one of the demigods of the universe. When he first appeared before Prithu Maharaj, he was not touching the ground of this earth. But when he was fully satisfied with the behavior and character of Maharaj Prithu, he immediately acted as the Supreme Personality of Godhead Narayan from Vaikuntha. Out of affection for Prithu Maharaj, he touched the earth, but he rested the front of his hand on the raised shoulder of Garuda, his carrier, as if to prevent himself from falling down, since the Lord is not accustomed to stand on earthly ground. These are all symptoms of his great affection for Prithu Maharaj. Perceiving his fortunate position, Prithu Maharaj could not fully look upon the Lord due to ecstasy, but still, in a faltering voice, he began to offer prayers. Athabumrijashukala bilokayan atripta driggocharam aho purusham padasprishantam kshkitimangsa unnate binnasta hastagram uranga vidvishaha. The Supreme Personality of Godhead stood with his lotus feet almost touching the ground, while he rested the front of his hand on the raised shoulder of Garuda, the enemy of the snakes. Maharaj Prithu, wiping the tears from his eyes, tried to look upon the Lord, but it appeared that the king was not fully satisfied by looking at him. Thus the king offered the following prayers. So, Prithu Maharaj was performing 100 horse sacrifices. These sacrifices bring auspiciousness and good fortune. Therefore, in Vedic culture, the exalted personalities used to perform sacrifices. And these sacrifices give some material benefit also. Although generally these sacrifices are performed for the sake of spiritual benefit, but they give material advantages also. For example, when one performs this horse sacrifice, Ashwamedh Yajna, then just by performing one horse sacrifice, one becomes eligible, one becomes qualified to become the king of the entire earth planet. Just by just by performing this sacrifice, one could become the ruler of the earth planet. And when one performs 100 horse sacrifices, then he can become the ruler of the heavenly planet. So these are the benefits. And these sacrifices are not easy to perform. They're very, very difficult to execute. Like for example, the horse sacrifice is performed in a way like first a sacrificial horse is selected. The horse is selected with all good symptoms. Even the horses have to be selected properly. And then this horse was let out. And the horse would just run here and there. And running, the horse would enter into somebody else's kingdom. And the king then had the option to either surrender to the king who sent the sacrificial. So this challenge horse. Or if he wanted, he could catch the horse and keep it. Then this other king's soldiers would come and release the horse. That means there would be a fight. There would be a battle. And if the sender of the challenge horse were defeated, then he won't be able to perform Aswamedh Yajna. So he had to defeat the other king. Then again the horse would start moving and the horse would come to some other kingdom. There also it will have the same condition. The king could either submit to the challenger or he could catch the horse and stop the horse from going. And then there would be a fight. So in this way, the horse had to go all over the world. And then when the horse came back, then the sacrifice would be performed. And the queen would sacrifice the horse. We can see how powerful these Vedic women were. The queen would take the chopper and chop the head of the horse in the ultimate point of the sacrifice. So this is how this horse sacrifice would be performed. Now Prithu Maharaj performed 99 horse sacrifices. And then when he was about to perform the 100th horse sacrifice, then Indra became worried. Indra thought, if he executes 100 horse sacrifices, then I have to quit my position. I have to leave. And he will become Indra. So Indra stole the horse. And then Prithu Maharaj's son, Juvanashva, he chased Indra and he rescued the horse. That way there was a conflict took place between Indra and Prithu Maharaj. And it was like very unpleasant. Here is Prithu Maharaj, very exalted. He is the ruler of the earth planet. And Indra. So the Supreme Personality of Godhead came to make peace between them. So here is the description. The Lord came and made peace between Prithu Maharaj and Indra. And when he was about to leave, so here is the time, he actually the Lord instructed Prithu Maharaj. Very beautiful. This whole chapter is actually describing the previous verses, how the Lord gave so many wonderful instructions. I was just going through that. So we'll just go through the few previous verses. That text 2 of this chapter is saying, Lord Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, said, My dear King Prithu, Indra, the King of Heaven, has disturbed your execution of 100 sacrifices. Now he has come with me to be forgiven by you. Indra has done something wrong. So Indra has come to beg forgiveness from Prithu Maharaj. O King, one who is advanced in intelligence and eager to perform welfare activities for others is considered best amongst human beings. An advanced human being is never malicious to others. Those with advanced intelligence are always conscious that this material body is different from the soul. If a personality like you, this is full instruction, if a personality like you was so much advanced because of executing the instructions of the previous acharyas, is carried away, there's a mistake, take note in that. The carried away, it's a spelling mistake, by the influence of my material energy, then all your advancement may be considered simply a waste of time. So who are the exalted personalities? Those who follow the instructions of the previous acharyas. They are the best among people. And those people, those who are following the instructions of the previous acharyas, means those who have been initiated in a bona fide sampradaya and following the teachings of their spiritual master. And a personality like that should not be carried away by the influence of Maya, by the illusory energy of the Lord. It is due to the illusory energy of the Lord one develops this materialistic tendencies. Lust, greed, anger. Tribhir narakashedam nashanam dwarang nashanam atmanah kama krodha tatha lobhas tasmad etatrayam tajit. Tribidhang, there are three gates to Naraka. Naraka means hell. There are three gates to hell. What are those? Tribhir narakashedam dwaram nashanam atmanaha, that destroy the propensities of the spirit, soul or spiritual propensity. Three gates to hell are Kam, Krodh and Lobh. Lust, greed and anger. So the Lord is advising, control these propensities that are natural manifestation of materialistic attitude. Well, those who are illusioned by the material nature, they will behave like that. Not a saintly personality like you who is advanced in spiritual life. How can a highly learned person who has absolutely no affinity for the bodily conception of life be affected by the bodily conception in regard to house, children, wealth, and similar other bodily productions? Although within the material nature, one who is thus situated in full knowledge of Paramatma and Atma is never affected by the modes of material nature. Those who are spiritually situated, that means those who know the identity first of Atma and his relationship with the Paramatma or the Supreme Personality of Godhead is never affected by the material nature, influence of material nature or modes of material nature. For he is always situated in my transcendental loving service. So here we can see what a devotee should be like. Should the devotee be affected by the illusory energy of the Lord? No. And how is that influence of the material nature, modes of material nature is manifest? Mainly due to these three influences. Lust, greed, anger. Kam, lobh and krodh. There are others also. There are three more. There are actually Shada Ripus, 6 enemies. Kama, Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moha, Mad and Matsarya. Lust, greed, anger, illusion, pride and envy. But at least one should learn how to control these three things. What is calm? Calm is manifest when one becomes attracted to the objects of the senses. When one becomes attracted to the objects of the senses and becomes motivated by sense gratification, that is called calm or lust. Kama. Dhayate vishayan pungsha sangaste shupajayate. Dhayate vishayan pungsha. The senses are dragging our consciousness towards the objects of the senses. And as a result of that, sangaste shupajayate. One develops attachment. One develops sangha, tendency to associate with that, identify with that. Sangaste shupajayate. And due to that association, sangat, sanjayate kama. So if we allow our senses to go towards the objects of the senses, then automatically we will be affected by lust. Sangat, sanjayate kama. And then the rest will happen. Kamat krodho bhijayate. Due to lust, one develops anger. Krodhat bhavati sanmoha, sanmohat smriti vibhrama. From anger, one develops bewilderment. When one becomes angry, he becomes bewildered. And sangat sanjayate kama kamat krodho bhijayate krodhat bhavati sanmoha and sanmohat smriti vibhrama. He loses his memory. And when one loses his memory, then he loses his intelligence. His intelligence is destroyed. Smriti bhrangshat buddhinasha buddhinashat pranashyati falls down and becomes he loses himself, lost, destroyed, nashyati, pranashyati. So that is a natural tendency. So how to counteract that? The yogis try to withdraw the objects, withdraw the senses from the objects of the senses. The 5th stage of yoga is pratyahar. Yam, niyam, asan, pranayam, pratyahar. Withdraw the senses. So when the senses are withdrawn from the objects of the senses, then okay, it won't run. But it's a very difficult process. We see Arjuna is telling Krishna that it's not possible for me. To control the mind in this way is not possible for me. Because in order to withdraw the senses from the objects of the senses, we have to control the mind. Because the senses are perceived when the mind is connected to the senses through the objects of the senses. Objects are perceived by the senses when mind is there, mind is connected. If the mind is not there, we don't see that. So ultimately it's a question of controlling the mind. Senses are not acting by itself. It is the consciousness that is acting. The consciousness is going through to the objects of the senses, through the senses. And when does the consciousness go? When the mind is connected to the senses. Like for example, when you're listening very attentively, are you seeing? Not really. Or when you're seeing something, then you are not hearing. Why? When the mind is not connected to the ears, hearing, we won't hear. If not, the mind is not connected to the eyes, then we won't see. Now that we say, oh, do you see the wall? Have you been seeing the wall all this while? No. Now that I said, do you see the wall? Yes, then you see. Why? Now the mind is connected. So it is due to the mind that the consciousness is flowing and one perceives the objects of the senses. But Arjuna is saying, Chanchalahi mana Krishna pramati valavadriyam. Krishna, it won't be possible for me. Not only Arjuna, same thing was said by Uddhav also. When Krishna told Uddhav about this process of controlling the mind and withdrawing the mind from the objects of the senses, even Uddhav said, no, Krishna, it won't be possible for me. So what to speak of us? How many of us will be able to practice yoga in a real sense? Not just yoga which is going on in today's world in the name of yoga. Like said, yoga, TV में yoga होता है, सब yoga. योगा प्रैक्टिस करके डायबिटीज सुधारेगा, योगा प्रैक्टिस करके ब्लड प्रेशर कमेगा. That is not yoga. The real yoga is Ashtanga yoga, which comes, dhyan, meditation comes after pratyahar. Fifth stage of Ashtanga yoga is pratyahar, and then the sixth stage is dhyan. Seventh stage is dharan, and eighth stage is samadhi. So this purpose of yoga is samadhi. And what is samadhi? To see the Lord in the heart. When one sees the Lord in the heart, that is samadhi. I'll come to that also. Here we are seeing that. Prithu Maharaj is in samadhi. When he sees the Lord, the mind is completely absorbed in the Lord. That is samadhi. You can see Prithu Maharaj, he couldn't withdraw his eyes from the Lord. When you can't withdraw your eyes from the Lord, can you look at something else? No. So anyway, before that, I'll just make one point. This kind of controlling the mind and meditating upon the Lord is not possible through the process of yoga. But there is another way of doing it. Another kind of yoga. What yoga is that? The consciousness is going to the objects of the senses, through the senses. But one is thinking how to use these objects in the service of the Lord. Then aren't you indirectly thinking about the Lord? You are doing things, you are seeing things, you are hearing things, but if you connect it to Krishna, like say for example, you go to some place and see something beautiful, and you say, oh, it would be so nice to offer it to the Lord. You are cooking and you are thinking, okay, I am cooking for the Lord. Then who are you thinking about through the process? Then after cooking, the prasadam has been offered to the Lord, and then bhoga has been offered to the Lord and came back as prasad. And you are eating. When you are eating, what are you thinking? This is the mercy of the Lord. So mercifully the Lord has given me this. So this is, out of these two things, which process is easier? To see Krishna through every action, or trying to stop the actions of our senses and try to meditate upon Krishna. So we can see the very easy process is this, doing things for Krishna. Not only doing things for Krishna, not only jat karosi. Karosi means whatever you do. But also jat asnasi, whatever you eat. You can perform spiritual activity even by eating. Jat asnasi, jat juhasi. Whatever you offer in sacrifice, dadasi jat, whatever you give in charity. Jat taposhoshi kaunteya, whatever austerities you perform, tat kurusha madarpanam. You can do it. You can offer it to me. Offer it to me. So in this way, a very, very simplified process has been given by the Lord to be engaged in the service of the Lord. And then we are seeing the result is, by the mercy of the Lord will appear. Sometime or the other, the Lord will appear. And especially our prayer is that the Lord appears at the time of death. What if the Lord appears now and we forget Him at the time of death? Will that be a desirable situation? Or let us act in such a way that at the time of death the Lord will appear. And then what is His appearance? Like, He is all attractive. He is so beautiful. Eyes want to see beautiful things. Eyes, that is the business of the vision. Mind wants to see beautiful things through the eyes. Now, which form is more beautiful than the Lord? Therefore, when one sees the Lord, for him everything becomes insignificant. In the material nature, we are attracted to different types of beauty due to our love for those objects. Like the mother feels that her child is the most beautiful thing. For a mother, thinks that the child is the most beautiful thing. Why? Because the mother has love for the child. It is due to the object of love becomes the most beautiful thing to our eyes. So similarly, wherever we are, so there are some people, they think that their dog is the most beautiful thing in the world. Why? Because they love their dog so much. Some other people may think that the cat is so beautiful. And they become attracted to that. They just want to be with. Like in the West, sometimes when I go for a morning walk, I see people are walking their dogs. Beautiful park, and they groom their dogs up so nicely. They take their dogs, especially poodles. There is a dog called poodle. They take those dogs to the manicure, to the barbers, dogs barbers. and they cut the hairs in the body in such a way that they look beautiful. Even they cut their nails. For that, even in the West, not only they have hospitals for the dogs, they have hotels for the dogs. So this is the culture. Prabhupada used to say that you have two options. Either you love your dog or you love your God. It's up to you. Now we can see when they're attracted to their dogs, what will happen. They will they'll have to come back and get the body of a dog, because jang jang bapi smaran bhavam tajattante kalevaram. With whatever thought one leaves his body, accordingly he'll get his next body. It may not sound very pleasant, but Prabhupada actually said that Nehru has been born as a dog in Sweden. Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, the Prime Minister of India, the ex-Prime Minister of India, has taken birth as a dog in Sweden. Now the question is whether we believe for Prabhupada or not. Yes, we do believe Prabhupada. It may sound different, but that is how the nature is. Law of nature is. What to speak of being born as a dog, so many big people will be born as a cockroach. This is the law of karma. This is the law of material nature. You're too attached to your house, you don't want to leave your house. Okay, be born as a cockroach and come back to the same house. Sometimes they even be born as a snake and they guard their house. Why are you coming here? Get out of here. Otherwise I'll bite you. So this is how, due to our attachment, we develop our bodies. And in Krishna consciousness, we learn not to maintain any kind of attachment in this material world. Don't even become attached to your wife. Don't become attached to your husband. Don't become attached to your children. Don't become attached to your grandchildren. I notice people are so prone to become attached to their grandchildren. They think they are the most beautiful object. Most beautiful means the dearest object in my heart. But where should we develop our attachment? The choice is ours. To these material objects or to Krishna. Jang jang bapi smaran bhavam tajattante kalevaram. Janti deva brata devan. Those who are attached to demigods, they'll go to the planets of the demigods. Those who are attached to the forefathers, pitrin jantri prithibrata. Bhutani janti bhuteja. Those who are worshippers of ghosts and bhuta, preta, pishachas, they'll go to their lokas. But janti majjajinopi mam. Those who are attached to me, they'll come to me. Therefore, we have to decide whether we want to come back here or whether we want to go back to the spiritual world. Make a serious consideration. How many of you think that you really want to come back to this material nature? Does anybody want to come back to the material nature? Raise your hand high. You want to come back to the material nature? Okay. हमारा कहने का मतलब था कौन इस भौतिक जगत में वापस आना चाहती हो? नहीं? अच्छा। क्योंकि यहाँ आने से पहली बात तो ये है कि मुझे पता नहीं है कि ऐसा शरीर मिलेगा, मनुष्य का शरीर मिलेगा. इज देयर एनी गारंटी दैट विल गेट ए ह्यूमन बॉडी? We first of all, we don't know what kind of body we will get. And besides that, what is the point in coming back to the material nature? It's full of suffering. Only when you are young, you may enjoy. But those who are getting old, they realize that is a place of suffering. Those who have become old, how do you feel now? Do you want to be old? No, nobody wants to be old. One doctor, friend of ours, was telling me one day that his observation is, he sees that when people are young, they spend their youth in earning money. And when they grow old, they spend their money to get back their youth. वो जवानी वापस के लौटाने के लिए कुछ भी करने के लिए तैयार रहते हैं. जितने सारे रुपए जो कमाया, मतलब कहने का मतलब था कि जवानी में रुपया कमाते हैं और जब बूढ़ा हो जाते हैं तो सारे रुपया देकर जवानी को वापस लाने का कोशिश करते हैं. They want to get back their youth. They want to spend all their money to get back their youth. That is materialistic people. That was his observation. But devotees, what is the mood of a devotee? When we are young, our business is to serve Krishna. And when you get old, then also our business is to serve Krishna. We don't care whether we are young or old. When you're young, when the body is strong, yes, we do many things with the body to serve Krishna. And when we grow old, what we'll do? Lie in bed and serve Krishna in the mind. Can anybody stop you? So much easier to serve through your mind. But not that, serve through your mind and enjoy through your body. That is not right. When the body is active, serve with the body. But when the body is not active, try to serve Krishna with your mind. Manasa seva. With the mind. And see, with the mind it becomes so easy to serve. Like you can buy so many things in 1 second, right? In the mind. Buy the best vegetables, best rice, best spices, pure cow's milk, ghee, and all that things. How long did it take you? Maximum 5 seconds, right? Then cutting them in shape, another 5 seconds. So, sab taiyar hai? Now cook it. Again, everything is prepared in 2 seconds. And offer it to Krishna. But in order to do that, what you have to do? You have to either sit down at one place or lie down. You can't move around and do that. If you can move around, then go to the market. And use the money that you have to buy all the things and cut the vegetables, cut everything, and cook and then offer to Krishna. So Manasa Seva will be the next step when the body will become inactive. We have our identity in 3 ways. Body, mind, and soul. First we serve Krishna with the body. Then at some point the body will become incapable. Then we must serve with our mind. And then by serving our mind, we become qualified to serve spiritually. Then the pure spirit soul will serve Krishna. And that is pure devotional service. So which process is easier? The process of Ashtanga Yoga or process of Bhakti? The nice thing about Bhakti is beyond Ashtanga Yoga. You perform Ashtanga Yoga, the ultimate perfection that you achieve, that will be Bhakti. After ultimate perfection of Ashtanga Yoga begins Bhakti. Yoginam opi sarvesham. Very good. Who is saying it? Batao. Shraddhavan. Very good. अब मीनिंग भी बता दीजिए.
सर्वश्रेष्ठ वो होता है जो अंतर मन से मेरी सेवा करता है, मेरा चिंतन करता है, वही सब योग सर्वश्रेष्ठ है, उसी से मैं युक्त होता हूँ.
नहीं, उन्हीं से युक्त नहीं. हाँ, जो सारे योगियों में से वही श्रेष्ठ योगी हैं जो भक्ति के द्वारा मेरे साथ जोड़े हुए हैं. हाँ, किसका अनुवाद किया है, पढ़ा है? प्रभुपाद जी का. प्रभुपाद जी का. अच्छा, फिर से पेन. रीड इट अगेन केयरफुली. सौम्य युक्त तम मत. वो युक्त तम, युक्त, युक्त तर, युक्त तम. हाँ, तो युक्त तम सबसे गहरा भाव से युक्त है. कौन? मदगते नान्तरात्मनः. जिसकी आत्मा मदगत हुआ है. मदगत का मतलब whose mind has become completely absorbed in me. See, the purpose of yoga is samadhi, right? So in samadhi what happens? One gets to see the Lord in the heart. And when one sees the Lord in the heart, then what happens? Here we are seeing what happened to Prithu Maharaj. Let us read that point again. Maharaj Prithu, wiping the tears from his eyes, tried to look upon the Lord. But it appeared that the king was not fully satisfied by looking at him. He was looking at him, but he was not fully satisfied by looking at him. He wanted to look at him more and more and more. And as a result of that, what happened? From his heart, he wanted to offer his prayers to the Lord. So you see the Lord in the heart, but then what happens? Then you start to sing the glory of the Lord. And that is bhakti, that is sankirtan. Singing the glory of the Lord, singing the prayers to the Lord. So what should be done? हम सब क्या करेंगे अब से? या पहले से क्या शुरू किया है? भगवान के प्रति हार्दिक भावना लेकर भगवान की चिंतन, भगवान की पूजन और भगवान के भक्ति करते रहना. और आसक्ति का मतलब हृदय का जो हार्दिक भावना जो है वो किसके प्रति अर्पित होना चाहिए? सही? हाँ, बिल्कुल. हाँ, कोई शक नहीं है? Okay. Very good. Thank you very much. Does anybody have any question?
So, you explained how the process of bhakti is the highest perfection of the Vedas, Vedic process. Now, while practicing bhakti, will it be also helpful to adopt the other sciences within the Vedas, like say Ayurveda or other sciences like maybe even yoga sometimes, for physical health, or which can help in upkeep of the body for serving Krishna better. Not as the sadhana for spiritual upliftment, but in a helpful way.
Let me hear what's your idea. What do you want to do?
For spiritual elevation, only bhakti. But for health, we may use Ayurveda, we may use other such things also, because they are Vedic, they can.
Yeah. Okay, good. There are many Ayurvedic doctors, so when you become sick, instead you become an Ayurvedic practitioner, you go to an Ayurvedic doctor for treatment. Okay? Not that because it's Vedic, now you have to study Ayurveda.
I'm not saying we should study, we can take the help of.
Okay. And let's hear what is your idea about yoga? What happened?
You can take the help maybe of before falling sick, to prevent the sickness, you can take the help of.
Not falling sick. You see, in a way, it's better not to put too much emphasis on the body. Right? The problem is, when the body becomes too strong, then the senses will become strong. And then the urges for sense gratification will become strong. And as a result of that, one may fall down. Hare Krishna Maharaj, which sloka can we quote to prove that Bhakti Yoga is topmost yoga? Vinod Kumar, Dubai. Okay, I just mentioned one of the verses, slokas I just mentioned. What is the? That the yoga, bhakti is the topmost yoga. Who remembers that? Vinod Kumar, yaad hai ab tumko? Do you remember, Vinod? Joginam opi sarvesham, Bhagavad Gita ka 6th chapter ka, the last verse jo hai, that verse is saying that of all the yogis, one who is absorbed in devotional service to Krishna is the greatest of all yogis. Prashant from Bhopal base. Hare Krishna Gurudev, please accept my humble obeisances. When we are in bhakti, we lose taste for study. Prashant, take note of this. L-O-O-A-C, lose, doesn't mean to lose something. Lose means lose. Dhila. L-O-O-A-C, lose is dhila. Or lose, jaise lose taste for study. To lose something, that is L-O-A-C. Take note of that. I notice that many people make that mistake. Why does this happen? And how can I overcome it? I want to be at position to preach. Okay. When we are in bhakti, we lose taste for study. Yeah, but try to be serious about your study. Because, I can understand that you may lose taste for your study, but still study because you are doing it and make a good result. Because if you fail in your studies, then people will say that, see, he became a devotee and what happened? He was such a good boy, he was such a good student, and now he flunked in his exams. Now he failed in his exams. Do you want people to tell you that? Obviously not. So study well. For a devotee, whatever he does it well. Why? Because whatever he does it for Krishna. Premavatar Das, Hare Krishna Gurudev, please accept my humble obeisances. Guru Maharaj, while serving, we need to have some attachment to the service, to serve with full heart. But any type of attachment is the obstacle to path of bhakti. Gurudev, kindly guide how to develop the appropriate consciousness to serve nicely. No, I never said that you should not have attachment to your service to the Lord. Rather, my point is, develop your attachment to your service to the Lord so much that you will lose taste for everything else. And not only the service only, it is a matter of developing our attachment to the Lord, which of course will come through service. But at the same time, don't neglect your studies. Giriraj Das from Gurgaon. Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, Dandavat Pranam. How important is mental service at a neophyte stage like mine? Sometimes I feel that I can serve the Lord better at mental level, but when we don't know where our mind starts playing games with us, can you please guide me? Yeah, as I very clearly mentioned, that one will serve mentally when his body is not capable. When the body is capable, serve with the body. Not that we'll serve Krishna with our mind and do all nonsense with the body. No, that is cheating. I'll chant my 16 rounds in my mind, and with my body I will go and do all kinds of nonsense activities. No. So when the body is strong, use the body in the service of the Lord. Use the body to serve the Lord. When the body will not be capable, as I was saying, when the body cannot move, or again, if you want to serve the Lord with your mind, then sit down at one place and serve the Lord in your mind. If you want to do that, to serve in your mind, then sit down at one place. Don't move. The point is, when you are serving the Lord with the mind, the body should be totally inactive. That's what the yogis do. They inactivate the body. No activity of the body. No more eating, no more sleeping, eventually hardly breathing. This yoga real yogis, they stop breathing through the process of pranayama, kumbhak. The point is, when you become old, then you can. When your body is not able to move, when you are lying in your bed, then you can serve with your mind. Dhira Gaura Das, Ujjain. Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, please accept my most humble obeisances. Dhira Gaura, why didn't you come? Why are you sitting in front of your computer? Why didn't you come here in the temple? First point, I have a question to you. Please accept my most humble obeisances unto your lotus feet. My question, while serving Krishna through body, my mind creates many disturbances and drags me away from serving Krishna physically. Please guide me, Maharaj. Yeah, mind will try to do that. Mind will try to take you to different objects of senses, and this is how it will create a disturbance. But when Arjuna also asked the same question to Krishna, that it's very difficult to control the mind. What was Krishna's answer? Read it in Bhagavad Gita. What did Krishna say? Yes, it's very difficult to control the mind. Asamsayam Mahabaho. Yes, Arjuna, there is no doubt. Asamsayam Mahabaho, Arjuna. Mano Durnigraham Chalam. The mind is very fickle and it's very difficult to control the mind. But abhyasena tu konteya vairagyena cha grijhate. Abhyasena, practice. Keep on practicing. If you see that the mind is going away, bring the mind back. And at the same time, vairagyena, detach yourself from the objects of the matter, objects of the senses. Detach yourself. It is due to the attachment to the objects of the senses that the mind is running. Oh, here is a beautiful form. Let me try to enjoy. Oh, here is a beautiful prospect. Let me try to exploit it. No. Vairagyena. Detach yourself. I'm not interested in anything material. With that only you'll be able to control your mind. Vairagyena. Vairagyena is the most important consideration. Ask yourself, are you attached to anything? Ask yourself, how much attached you are to your money? How much attached you are to your family? How much attached to your house? How much attached to your position? How much attached you are to your senses? Question yourself. And then you will consider, if natural the mind will run. I am so attached to my bank account that while chanting, my mind thinks, oh, did that deposit take place? How much is there in the bank now? और मेरा बच्चा का ये हो गया, लड़की का शादी होने वाला था, बल्कि वो बेचारा नाराज हो गया है. Don't allow these sort of thoughts to come into your mind. As soon as they come, drive them out of your mind. No, this is not my business. This is not my business. So this is vairagyena. Vairagyena jagrijate. So in this way, we can actually see, in order to become Krishna conscious, everybody has to become a vairagi. Vairagi means sannyasi. Everybody has to become in his mind. At least not in externally, but internally, everybody must become completely detached. Now some people may think, oh, Maharaj is being so cruel. But the thing is, it's not my words, it's Krishna's words, and it's for our own benefit. I'm simply reminding you what Krishna says. Let me go through. Okay.
How to get determination to do these things?
How to get determination? Again, applying the intelligence. You see, mind is there, senses, the consciousness is running through the mind, right, to the senses. Now what will the intelligence do? Okay, now let us consider, as the example has been given, a chariot, horses, right? Horses are the mind. Now how the horses are controlled? By the rein. So mind is the rein. And intelligence is the chariot driver. Sarathi. So, now who is the charioteer here? Krishna. Meaning Krishna's instructions. Try to remember what Krishna said. And with that you control the senses through the agency of the mind. So the mind can be controlled by intelligence. Indriyani paranyahur, indriyebhya parang mano, manosastu para buddhir. Even beyond the mind is the intelligence. So who can control the mind? Intelligence. And what is the intelligence? Krishna consciousness. The real intelligence is Krishna consciousness. What's the meaning of Krishna consciousness? to follow Krishna's instructions. Okay? Okay, so let me see another 2 questions and I'll send it here. So I'll stop the class, end the class. Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. When we read many material things in our study, then we lose our taste for bhakti. Wow, good point. Now I have to think about it. I said you study nicely. Yes, study nicely with a understanding that it is not the main objective. Study is not the main objective. The main objective is to develop your Krishna consciousness, bhakti. So do not allow your study of materialistic subjects affect your Krishna consciousness. It would have been easier to leave your studies and become full-time devotee. Actually, when we were young, when we joined, that was our way. Leave everything and join Krishna consciousness. But now we have come to another stage. Like now we are seeing that many devotees, after joining the movement, think of getting married later on. So when one gets married, then one has to have some source of income. And that's why it is good to have some sort of arrangement to fall back onto. So that is why we say, just complete your studies. Do it with that understanding that someday if you need to take up a job, you have some qualification. But the goal of life is not to take up a job, but the goal of life is to become a devotee. This one is Shantipur Das from Indore. Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. Guru Maharaj, to control the mind and senses, actively chanting is very important on daily basis. Attentively chanting is very important on daily basis. Yes, to control the mind, chanting is very, very important because mantra is there to control the mind. Therefore, when you are trying to control the mind, we have to take shelter of the mantra, and especially now that we have the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, we should take full shelter of this. So many questions. Okay, tum batao.
Guru Maharaj, how can we increase our enthusiasm in devotional service?
How can we increase our enthusiasm in devotional service? Okay, how do we generally develop our enthusiasm? By finding the benefit of it. अंग्रेजी में बोलेंगे, ठीक है? जैसे लोग नौकरी ढूंढते हैं, बहुत एंथुसियाज्म के साथ ढूंढते हैं ना, और नौकरी जब मिलता है बहुत एंथुसियाज्म के साथ काम करते हैं ना. क्यों करते हैं? क्योंकि महीने के बाद तनख्वाह मिलेगा, हाँ, उसके लिए ना. तो जो नाफा होता है उससे हमको एंथुसियाज्म बढ़ता है. हाँ, तो आप सोचो भक्ति करने से फायदा क्या होगा? हाँ, समझा? We become enthusiastic when we see the benefit. Like somebody very enthusiastically looks for a job. When he gets the job, very enthusiastically he works. Why does he do that? Because at the end of the month he is going to get some money. So when there is some profit, when there is some benefit, one naturally becomes enthusiastic. So now you consider what happens by executing devotional service. Devotional service execute करने से क्या फायदा होगा? कुछ फायदा होगा? क्या फायदा होगा?
Increase
हाँ,
उत्साह में अभिवृद्धि हो।
नहीं नहीं, फायदा क्या होगा भक्ति करने से? फायदा क्या होगा? हाँ, ओके, जवाब मिला है। ओके, तो जीवन सफल हो जाएगा, इसलिए हाँ, जीवन सफल बनाना है तो हाँ, इसलिए भक्ति उत्साह के साथ करना चाहिए। और जीवन सफल कैसे बनेगा? क्योंकि इस देह का अंत होने के पश्चात हम भगवत धाम में वापस चले जाएंगे, और इस शरीर में रहते हुए भी हम भगवत धाम में वापस चले जाएंगे। आप कहाँ हो? जो भक्ति करते हैं भगवान के साथ ही रहते हैं। हाँ? ये है उत्साह का कारण। या हेल्थ
like while we are trying to execute bhakti, sometimes when there is difficulty, then we take shelter of other things. Say something like even vastu. When we face difficulty, but instead, if we would have actually considered right from the beginning.
Yeah, well, the thing is, I'm not saying not to take advantage. I am saying that you don't have to do it yourself. In order to see vastu, yeah, fine. You realize that there is some problem with the body. You go to a doctor. No one is saying don't go to a doctor. There is some defect in the structure. Okay, rectify through vastu. Take advantage of vastu. But there are experts there. There are Ayurvedic expert doctors. There are vastu experts, and take their guidance. That doesn't mean that you have to do it yourself. But when you say that I will practice yoga, then I have problem.
Not to become an expert, but to take advantage so that I don't have to go to the hospital. I mean, not that once I fall sick and then I go to hospital.
Are you sick now?
I'm not. So that I don't fall sick. Not to make the body too strong, but to prevent the weakness and to make sure that I don't go to that stage where finally at that time I have to run to the doctor or I have to run to the vastu expert or something. But why not take prevention is better than cure, that kind of.
Okay, can you prevent birth, death, old age and disease through yoga practice?
For that we have Bhakti Guru.
So use that, practice that. All right.
Side by side we also require these things sometimes too for the upkeep of Bhakti.
Today you'll say yoga practice, tomorrow you'll say यहाँ हम एक जिम बनाएंगे. Then ये बढ़ता ही जाता रहेगा. Try to understand. I'm saying it because Prabhupada told me not to practice yoga. And I gave you the reason also. The senses will become strong. And when the senses become strong, then what will you do? Rather use all the facilities in serving Krishna. What's the problem now? Do you have any difficulty serving Krishna? Eat nicely, render service. Body will be strong. We don't have to do yoga. And why waste that time in doing yoga? You see, the problem with yoga is that it strengthens the subtle body. It is better to take care of the gross body. Prabhupada actually advised, Prabhupada told me, go and take a swim. Yes, take care of the body. You need some exercise, go for a swim. But yoga, you see, it increases the ability of the subtle body, capacity of the subtle body. And the subtle body and the gross body cannot really stay in tune. Cannot cope with. The gross body cannot cope. And the problem is, you can see. Another thing is that, since you're asking the question, it brings back the other point, that the impression that I got when you told me that everybody is doing yoga. For that you said that the timing of the class should be altered because devotees are doing yoga.
No, I didn't say that.
You did. Actually, that's what I heard. The class's timing is changed. What does it mean? When you say that the class's timing is changed because devotees are doing yoga, doesn't it naturally imply that everybody is doing yoga? Or just because you are doing yoga alone, now therefore the timing should be changed?
Please forgive me.
I'm asking you.
Actually, what I'm saying is that I always said that the timing could any time is okay. I'm not attached to that time.
Okay, the clear point is you don't need to do yoga. All right. Yes.
In the class you mentioned about attachment. If a mother may have attachment to the child or a wife to the husband. So Guru Maharaj, could you please explain what would be the position in a devotee scenario if the wife is attached to the husband or the mother is attached to the devotee child?
Yeah, good point. That you see, devotee's attachment is always through Krishna. That's the only difference. Husband is attached to the wife, not as she is my wife, but she is Krishna's servant. You get the wife is attached to the husband, not because he is my husband, but because he is a servant of Krishna, he is a devotee of Krishna. Just like this is food. I need food. I am eating it because it is Krishna's prasad. See, in this way, we become Krishna conscious. This is the process of becoming Krishna conscious. You see, as I mentioned many times earlier, you put yourself in the center, material. You put Krishna in the center, spiritual. Right? So see everything through Krishna in the center. Then it's spiritual.
So Maharaj, that understanding is always there, it seems. But if one has been, when it's a very critical situation, say to do with the health or something like that, the first person, if the devotee wife is still thinking to seek help from the husband and not calling out to Krishna, so the concern came that at the time of death, what will happen?
Well, this is another practical situation. You see, it's a relationship. Like say, for example, I won't go, like that is one scenario. I can think of another scenario. Say I'm traveling and I need some help. Who do I think of? The person who is traveling with me. He's the first person I'm thinking of. Right? Because it's a practical situation. He's my secretary, he's with me. So I'll tell him that, look, do it for me. All right? So it's a practical consideration. Yes, husband, wife, natural, they have a relationship. But the point is that everybody has to be very concerned, very careful, that all these relationships are with Krishna in the center. Whether it's a relationship between husband and wife, whether it's a relationship between mother and child, whether it's a relationship between, friends and so forth. Should be Krishna in the center.
So at the time of death, Krishna will take care of who we think of. If we have kept always Krishna in the center.
Well, if Krishna is in the center, who will think of first? At that time.
Hopefully we will be pure enough to just think of Krishna.
I wish you all the best. Yeah. So that is the point. Like, otherwise, the possibilities are, say, if for a woman to think of her husband is a promotion, because she'll get a man's body. But if the husband thinks of the wife at the time of death, she'll get a woman's body. Maybe woman's body is also beneficial because they make better devotees. And anyway, man, woman is not a consideration. Main thing is, ultimately devotee's attitude is whatever Krishna wants. Isn't it? Kito janamo ho jatha tu adas. I am prepared to be born as an insect if you want it. But let me always remain attached to your lotus feet. Okay.